Things are getting even worse for Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Last week, we learned that Jeff Sessions had actually distorted or lied by omission at minimum twice, 2 times, with regard to his conversations and meetings with the Russian ambassador to the United States. The defense we heard last week was, hey, Jeff Sessions didn't really lie, because when he met with the Russian ambassador, he met with the Russian ambassador as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he didn't meet with the ambassador as a member of Donald Trump's campaign. He since has recused himself from all investigations relating to the Trump campaign's contact with Russia. It turns out, however, that he was indeed meeting with the ambassador as a Trump surrogate. At least we know that Trump campaign funds were used to travel to the event where he met with the ambassador. This isn't even being disputed, Pat. It's been confirmed by Trump campaign finance records. So, okay, fine. The Trump campaign paid for it, but I'm sure the subject matter of the discussion was just Senate Armed Services Committee stuff, right? Wrong. We have now also heard that Jeff Sessions and Ambassador Kislyak met at a Heritage Foundation event in Cleveland during the Republican National Convention. And according to a source that was there, Sessions was indeed talking about the Trump campaign with the Russian ambassador. Every aspect, and it's Armed Forces Committee, every aspect of this story that we are hearing is falling apart with every passing day. Sessions says he doesn't really remember what he discussed with Kislyak, the Russian ambassador in Cleveland. It's all falling apart.
That's a pattern. That's the exact same excuse that Michael Flynn used. He didn't remember if he had discussed sanctions.
Yeah, then he resigned.
Yeah, the new revelation here is that Jeff Sessions is going to recuse himself from the investigation into the connections between Trump and Russia.
Yeah.
I think he should have already done that. I mean, he was on the campaign trail. He was the first senator to endorse Trump. That's kind of unusual for an attorney general to do. So I think from the outset, he should have already recused himself, and maybe he should look towards resignation now.
I actually am ready to say it's time to talk about resignation. Last week, I was saying, hey, Democrats should wait to call for the resignation until we know more. We know more, and it's time for Jeff Sessions to resign. If indeed a second Trump cabinet member resigns during the first 2 months of the administration, both resignations due to lies about contacts with Russia, this is scandal, right? I mean, how will the Trumpists rationalize it? I guess as some kind of left-wing conspiracy, right? Something about Hillary Clinton and her emails and maybe Pizzagate or John Podesta. I know they'll come up with something, but it's getting pretty difficult to defend this as just completely innocent.
It certainly is, and now you have to resort to perjury to kind of hide those ties, it seems.
Yeah.
There's a great tape, actually, of Jeff Sessions talking in the 90s about Bill Clinton's, talking about the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, perjury is considered a high crime, and it goes against the heart of the judicial system.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a double standard because now he wants to stay on the job.
Yeah, and of course, the defenders will say, hey, you've got to prove perjury. You need to demonstrate that a false statement was made and that there was an intent to deceive. And that's going to be really, really difficult, particularly when you've got a Republican White House and a Republican House and a Republican Senate and an increasingly Republican judiciary as well. But this is really not looking good. And I still have people who email me. We send out our daily sort of newsletter saying, hey, here's what's on the show. And there's people who won't even listen to the story or watch the story. They just immediately hit respond and then say, David, you're falling for fake news. There's nothing going on with Russia, just nothing at all. Even if you're skeptical about some aspect of the Russia collusion, the idea that there's nothing to see here at this point, how can any reasonable person believe that? Send me your thoughts. I'm on Twitter at @DPakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show.